I had always believed in keeping my home secure. Locks, alarms, cameras, everything installed with precision, all connected to a network I could monitor remotely. My house wasn't just a home, it was a fortress of my design. I never imagined I'd need it for a showdown with my HOA. It started like any normal workday. I left for the office early, coffee in hand, ready to tackle emails and meetings. I had no reason to suspect anything unusual. After all, the neighborhood had always been calm, with only minor HOA squabbles over lawns and mailbox placement. That afternoon, a neighbor called. Her voice trembled. "I think your locks, they've been changed." My stomach dropped. Sure enough, the HOA had somehow managed to change the locks on my front door while I was at work. Notes were taped to the door, citing violations of community standards and demanding immediate compliance. They assumed that by physically locking me out, they could force me into submission. I stayed calm. I didn't panic. I opened my laptop and checked my remote security system. Every door, every camera, every sensor, fully operational. Every lock was connected to my network. I could control them from anywhere. They had assumed brute force could beat technology, but they had no idea what I had built. The cameras showed everything. The HOA president, Karen, of course, arriving with a locksmith in tow. She carried herself like a general leading an invasion. They fumbled with my front door, thinking they had outsmarted me. They didn't realize I was already watching, recording, and preparing a response they would never forget. From my office, I initiated the override. Doors clicked, cameras swiveled, lights flashed. Every inch of my house was under my command. I didn't need to rush home. I didn't need to confront them directly. The house itself became my statement. Karen and her cohorts had crossed a line. They believed that changing locks would force compliance. They had no idea that I had turned their audacity into the ultimate trap. And when I decided to respond, the next move would leave them stunned, humiliated, and entirely outmaneuvered. From my office, I could see every detail. Karen, the HOA president, and the locksmith fumbled with the front door, trying every key, every tool, and every trick they could imagine. Each failed attempt was broadcast live through my security cameras to my laptop, allowing me to watch in real time. I had anticipated this exact scenario. The system I built wasn't just smart, it was prepared for worst-case HOA overreach. I started with subtle measures. The front lights flickered, a warning pattern designed to signal intrusion. Then the locks themselves clicked repeatedly, as if the door were alive, responding to my commands. The locksmith jumped back in surprise, glancing at Karen for guidance. She tried to regain composure, barking orders, waving her arms like she could enforce authority through sheer volume. But volume doesn't matter when technology rules the game. I activated the audio system. A calm, mechanical voice announced, "Unauthorized access detected. Please vacate the property immediately." Karen froze. The locksmith glanced around nervously. My warning was simple, but precise. I didn't need to confront them in person. My house was doing it for me. Then came the real surprise. I triggered the lockdown sequence. Every exterior door locked automatically. Every interior lock synchronized with my system. If Karen or the locksmith tried to force their way in, alarms would sound, lights would flash, and every movement would be recorded and stored securely on the cloud. The house itself became a sentient defender, a fortress immune to intimidation. Karen's face turned red. She realized she had underestimated me. Her plan, so carefully plotted to humiliate me and assert HOA dominance, was collapsing with each passing second. She tried to reason, insisting that she had the right to change locks under community bylaws. I ignored her. The law was on my side. Every action she had taken was a trespass. Every attempt to manipulate my property had just strengthened my case against her. I decided to escalate carefully, methodically. I activated the cameras pointing at the backyard and triggered the motion sensors. A pre-recorded message played, addressing Karen directly. This property is under private ownership. Any unauthorized access is considered trespassing. Law enforcement has been notified of your attempt to interfere with private property. Her mouth fell open. She had called the police herself countless times over trivial complaints, never expecting that I could turn technology and preparation into a defensive weapon against her own tactics. By this point, the locksmith had had enough. He tried to disengage, but Karen insisted he continue, muttering that she would handle this herself. She didn't understand that control had shifted entirely. The house was no longer a passive structure. It was an active participant in defending boundaries, asserting authority, and enforcing rules. Throughout the day, I monitored everything remotely. The HOA board members who arrived to support Karen were stunned into silence as I played back video clips showing every attempt to breach my home. Every door jiggled, every key failed, every argument ignored. I could annotate each clip, time-stamped, and clearly showing their trespass and intent to intimidate. By evening, Karen was frantic. She knew she couldn't touch me. She knew the HOA had no leverage over my property. She tried to bargain, suggesting compromises, offering apologies she didn't mean, all while I remained calm, monitoring her every movement. I didn't need to leave the house. I didn't need to engage in her theatrics. The house itself had done all the work, transforming her intimidation into documented evidence against her. That night, I prepared the final move. I drafted a certified letter to the HOA board, attaching the recorded footage, timestamps, and a clear statement of trespass and harassment. The message was simple. Any further attempts to interfere with my property would result in legal action. Karen, who had once wielded her HOA authority like a weapon, suddenly had no leverage. She had played her hand and lost entirely to planning, preparation, and the unexpected intelligence of a home designed to defend itself. By the time I went to bed, the neighborhood was quiet again. Karen hadn't returned. The locksmith had left. The board members were silent, their confidence shattered. My house, remote-controlled, automated, and prepared for exactly this moment, had done what confrontation alone could never achieve. It asserted control, maintained peace, and proved that preparation and technology could outmatch even the most persistent and arrogant HOA tyrant. The next morning, Karen called again, furious, but this time she kept her distance. Every threat she attempted was documented. Every attempt to intimidate was recorded. I didn't respond immediately. I didn't need to. Control was no longer about confrontation. It was about preparation, foresight, and the quiet authority of knowing your house, and your rights were untouchable. The HOA had learned a lesson they wouldn't forget. Underestimate a homeowner with both brains and technology at your peril. And Karen, the self-appointed enforcer, finally realized that some doors, once locked, cannot be opened. At least not without consequences she hadn't imagined. Karen never expected her intimidation to fail so completely. Every attempt to enter, every demand, every threat had been recorded and countered by my remote security system. The locks, cameras, and alerts had done the work for me. She backed off, furious and humiliated. The HOA learned a simple truth. When technology and preparation protect your rights, even the boldest bully can be powerless.